Yeah, and I've always wanted to just kind of like have a studio in my home, whether if I'm gonna even rent it out or also just use it for when I'm using it now. But
There you go.
it was um when you have a crazy idea in your head and you want to go for it and then you get the things and you're like, man, this is probably stupid.
Oh.
So this has always been like my fear. I was like, oh no, I really hope this isn't stupid because like I secretly really enjoy this.
That's the most important part. Are you enjoying it? Is it like a passion, something exciting you look forward to? Then, well, and I think we've all had those little hobbies or things where it's just like, this is dumb. Everyone's gonna like look down. I'm too like nerdy or whatever. But then when you actually get out there and do it, or you find other people that line up with it, it's like, hey.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, so I'm really glad, and thank you so much for coming, Jamie. Like I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the invites.
Yeah. Like how we met was it was like through Reddit, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was through the Reddit meetup, right?
Yeah, it was some Reddit meetup.
Yeah, so they used to have it was either, because is it still up? Wasn't there a Florida subreddit or something?
Yeah, it was like Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I think there's the Fort Lauderdale one, or they had a meetup group like on the meetup site, and then they had like a Facebook group, which I don't know if that's even being kept up on anymore. Probably not. Yeah, we went through that.
Yeah, it could have been from Facebook. So I was wondering if it was like Facebook or Discord, but I don't think it was Discord.
No.
But okay, yeah. And then we met, I think it was a board game night that my friend used to run.
Yeah.
And then we kept in contact. I remember we went to your friend's pool party where none of us went in the pool. We all just hung around and talked.
Was that Katie's, where it was like in the apartment, but it was like kind of like
yeah, it was like right, yeah, it was like it was like a courtyard or like a square, and it was it was a cool like layout of I thought that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I was just chilling. I don't know, nobody did swim that time, did they?
No. It was a very black pool party. It was a very black pool party.
Just food, hanging out, maybe a toe got dipped in at most.
Right. It's like, yep, that's a pool. But yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on. Just want to introduce the podcast. This is Moment of Clarity, where I talk to my really awesome, amazing guy friends who are of the nerdier variety. And where I just, talk about like their past and how they grew up and why they're still badasses today. This is Jamie. Jamie is a nutritionist, correct?
I study dietetics and nutrition and culinary arts, so kind of like a mix of those two.
Right. And what do you do now? You work at
So I work for a nonprofit. I'm a program coordinator, so I help different locations like with their after school programs and summer camps to get free meals for the kids in those programs. So just kind of helping out with that. And I've worn many hats through it as well, with helping out with like little nutrition classes or cooking classes with the kids and their families, and things like that. So do fundraisers and just trying to help the community and boost things up and try to, that's a basic need for everybody, is to be fed, especially kids in certain low-income areas or rural areas, things like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. How long have you been doing that?
Oh gosh, like it just came up the other day during a meeting this week. I think I've been there for about 8 years now.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Time flies, especially when you're on like the school schedule and you're just like,
oh, true. Yeah.
It just goes by even faster versus like a regular like yearly thing. It's like, oh, it's the summer, and then it's not the summer, and there's no off time. So it feels like you should be, but you never are.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. So Jamie, how did you get into anime and video games or like nerdy culture?
Let's see. Must have been exposure in my younger years. My first console, I got a hand-me-down, the original brick Game Boy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I still have it around. It might or might not work. how it survived all those years, because I used to take with me to school on occasion. I had one of those. It's kind of like a weird, like Lego blocky looking lunchbox. It was like hard. It was like one of those hard case ones, not like the little soft ones that you can like crumple up. So I would put it in there for some reason. So that would just get bashed around. The screen like popped out eventually, like the screen cover. I was able to like put it back in, but it survived all those years. So that was my first console, and just having that then went from Game Boy to Sega Genesis, and then I had like friends and all that had Nintendos and everything else, so just kind of played around that way. And I think my neighbor, when I first started getting more into it, he had like all the systems, so I was like always hang out at his places because they have all the games. And then for anime, let's see, I want to say my first was Sailor Moon was my first one.
Nice.
So it was one of the older ones. I remember coming on. This was when I was much younger, like getting ready for school in the morning while it's still dark out, and it's like, what is this? Like, okay, this is cool. It's all like big and flashy and just interesting, grabbed your attention. So I was like, all right, cool, catch this on occasion. Then later on when I came to the States, like saw like on Toonami and all that, so it was
I remember when it was like on like early in the mornings before school, and the ending, like I think it was whatever the producer or a studio, whatever, it was like DIC.
Yes. Yep. I remember that.
Oh man, those are good times. Were there any like fictional characters you looked up to growing up, or you wanted to emulate?
None that like super come to mind or like stand out especially. But I think like the main trope that I started to lean towards more was like the underdogs, essentially. Like one that came to mind was like Gohan, like especially like going up, he was like like, oh, this little kid, but had these big moments of like, oh shoot, like don't look down at him because it might come back and bite you. So
right.
I think that kind of stuck with me a bit, like just looking at those like secondary characters that kind of have those moments to shine and like really stand out or support. So, things like that.
Yeah, no, I feel you. My favorite character was Gohan as well. It was because I'm the last of 7, but I was like closest to like 2 of my brothers. So like I felt like my oldest brother, he would always like the main character, Mario, and then my brother, my other brother, he would like Luigi, and I liked Yoshi. There's actually a Yoshi egg in my, which my brother who likes Luigi got me before.
Nice.
The same thing with Dragon Ball Z. I think my oldest brother's favorite character was Goku. Mine was Gohan. My other brother's was Krillin.
Okay.
So I get that, like not like the other characters.
Yeah, the ones like should get a little more time in the lights or have those like hidden things away versus like the main character is always all right. Here's the big showy move and it always wins the day. It's like, all right, let's give the other guys some lighter. Maybe they think outside the box, like Goku's always just like straight to it and messes up and I'm gonna let that guy recover and get stronger, but everyone's like, no, don't do the thing, and Gohan's like, what are you fucking doing? let's regenerate all the way just because he's gonna be stronger. It's like
oh yeah, that was so stupid. It's like weird ass ego trip. So what was like middle school and high school like?
Let's see. It was a bit of a mixed bag. So preface for that, I was a army brat. So basically my dad was in the military, so we traveled around a lot.
Okay.
So that was like elementary and all that. I had like schools overseas or in the military bases were a bit different, I think. Just like a melting pot of different people, cultures, and families, everything. Just kind of, I think things click pretty well that way. But then when you come to the States, it's very like cut and dry depending on what county you're in, what school you're in, and all that.
Right.
It's very, and that could be a difference between like elementary and going into like middle and high school where things are a lot more clicky.
True, yeah.
But yeah, so my first middle school, so I went 6th grade. I went to where was it, JFK? So that was up in when I lived in West Palm still. We got in. My dad was starting to get ready to retire from the military, and there wasn't really time to like find out like what area zoning and all that. So you're in this zone and you're going to this school,
Gotcha.
public school, and that was it. it wasn't the best of times. So this is my first public school, and this was like in the thick of like the ghetto area too.
Okay.
So this was night and day for me because and I'm sure you could probably maybe relate to that a little bit too. Like my type of black is like, Caribbean, like that type of versus like inner city
Like
or
the
other
yeah.
So it was a bit of a culture shock in a way. So I got picked on a bit here and there, especially again being like a more reserved, like nerdy kid and not quite fitting in with everybody else was as far as the way I dressed and this, that, and the other. And it was like sixth grade, so it wasn't like too bad. If I was a little older, I'm sure it would probably been worse, but I got by okay. But then my mom, seeing how things were going there, switched me over to a private school for 7th and 8th grade. So then it was a much, much smaller one. So different, but in the right direction at least.
Okay. Was it like predominantly white, the private school?
It was mostly, there was like a little mix, and like honestly, how many kids were in my class? There was only like 10 kids in my class.
Oh.
This was like a small private school. So
Gotcha.
there was like a handful of black and like Asian and Hispanic kids. So it wasn't like totally stark one way or the other, but it was still like a decent mix.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then high school was better. My family finally, because we came down, we stayed with my grandmother. That's how I kind of got zoned in that area. And then when my parents finally got the house that they're at now up in Jupiter, I went to the public high school there. Actually, I had a chance to go to another high school because you had that chance to like kind of like tour around a little bit and do the go sit in at like a couple of classes to see which ones. I think I was right on that cusp of where I could go between two schools.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, high school was better. There was that same thing. I had like a pretty eclectic collection of friends and people. So I kind of blended in with everybody. Mostly stuck with like my own little like core group, but you had I did like a little bit of sports. So I had like some like the sport and jockish kids that I knew. I could like interact and like say hello with like a lot of people, but I had my core people that I would spend time with.
Okay. And who were the core people?
Let's see. Mostly like some of the nerdy kids, obviously, because you gotta stick with your type. Nerdy kids, and just kind of some other like the ones I kind of mixed in between groups. So I had a couple of like ones I would like hang out with after school. We'd like go and check out like see movies or have like little pool parties, things like that.
Okay.
And a couple of people from classes here and there, but there was more just like depending on like what's everyone's like interests and hobbies. Those are the ones that mostly lined up.
Oh, okay. What kind of sports did you do?
I did track and field.
Hey, very Caribbean.
Yeah. What did I do in that one? I think I did a little bit here and there. I did one of the sprints. I did the, what do you call the jumping over hurdles?
Yeah.
Hurdles. Oh, that was a rough one. When we actually had a meet, like practicing was fine. And the one time we had a meet and I did it, I was doing fine. But the last one, my shoe, the spikes like stuck to the ground and like was starting to like peel off. So I tripped over like during the jump and I tripped over the last hurdle and just aged it.
You just ate it.
Yeah, just ate it. So it was a little bumpy there, but recovered and it was fine. It was just like, oh. Yeah, I didn't do that one too much after that. So, but the main one I stuck to afterward was pole vaults.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just, I liked it since it was different and unique. So it was exhilarating yet scary, but still fun to do.
Okay. Yeah, that does look scary.
Yeah,
it looks cool. Yeah, so I see the appeal. I wish looking back, I wish I did sports in like middle school and high school. I did basketball a tiny bit. I never really played in a game. And I remember I had the opportunity to do track and I just didn't. High school was really difficult to do after school stuff because of one of my brothers has autism.
So kind of more like dedicated to like
because like he was also at the school, so I would have to like go on the special needs bus with him and go back and forth to let him in the house and and so I mean, like the bus was convenient because the park's right in front of your house.
Ah,
So that's really nice.
came with its perks.
Yeah, like it was like I won't lie, like it was definitely embarrassing, but like me and like my other brothers did it too, you know, with Manny. So, but it was just kind of like I couldn't stay after school really because of that, which was very difficult. Because thinking back, it's not like I really wanted to do sports. I was like an indoorsy kid anyway. But I just know that I would have definitely benefited from doing sports.
Fair.
You know, definitely like in the future instead of, yeah. Also, people always think I was an athlete because I was like, no, I just look like one.
Yeah, you got locks. Did you had locks back then too?
No, it's just my body. I'm like tall, like pretty much like all legs.
Fair.
So even when I was in college, like I remember people, especially my freshman year, people thought I was on a sports team, which is a massive compliment because I went to Florida State, which is a D1 school.
Oh.
So if you thought I was on a sports team, I was like, okay. It's like, no, I just look like this. What was your relationship with like your teachers and your parents growing up?
Let's see. Teachers, I was always pretty good in school. I don't know if they still do it now, but you remember like
The wheel thing?
the wheel thing?
Like when you get like the pizza, like the little wheel of when you got good grades, there was like
like the Pizza Hut thing? Or the book it? Was that what it was called?
I don't know, but it was a wheel and it was like little coupons and you could like take.
I don't remember that one. Maybe that was before I got down here.
Maybe.
Yeah. But the, what do you call it? The conduct thing. So you get your grade and then you also have like little like conduct thing for like if you were behaved in class. It was like a 1 through 4.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I would always get like mostly 4s, maybe a couple 3s here and there if it was like a teacher that was just kind of like marking things across the board for everybody. But yeah, I never really had any bump-ins or problems with teachers or anything growing up. And always been more of like on the quiet, a little bit like on the shy side growing up. So I was definitely one of those like good students, good patient, like, you know, type of kid.
Yeah. Yeah. You were good because you were quiet.
Yeah. That's probably part of it. It's like, oh, he doesn't yell or act out in class. I'm like, I'm just sitting here, I don't want to do it. You know, so. Occasionally friends with like the class clowner here and there, and might get roped in just because, you know, if you're sitting next to them,
right?
causing a ruckus.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
like you're also laughing.
Now you're in both in trouble. It's like, great. But luckily, I didn't get roped into like too much trouble. Like, I think I had like once had to go into like a parent teacher thing, but it was actually my mom told me about it like later on. Was the teacher got me and another student mixed up. Of course, it's like one of the other black students.
Oh,
so,
damn!
it's like, hey, Jamie's always acting up in class and all. I was like, are you sure you don't mean Cameron, the other ones? Like, I don't know if that got like fully corrected or not, or she owned up to that mistake. But
that is so bad. That is so bad.
Yeah, sure. We're both like, sure, like 2 black kids in the class, like same, because, you know, we just kept the hair trimmed short, but it was like same on this shade, like, and he was like, we're probably like about that same like shade, like he was like a little darker than me and like on this shade, so it'd be easy to distinguish, but
like that's. Did you have like similar last names or something?
Not that I remember.
Like, did you guys sit next to each other?
Sometimes.
Regardless, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
But that's so bad. You got called in. It's like, yeah, Jamie's been acting up. It's like he does this, and that.
And yeah, mom just called out right there. Like, no, that's not how Jamie acts. Like,
right.
It's not even like one of those, like, you know, like the defensive type of parents.
Right.
Or, like, no, if my mom found out I was doing something like that, I would have gone to stern talking to.
Right, yeah.
Would not have slid by.
Yeah, I was like, no, that's like Jamie's act like that at all.
No.
You got the wrong kid. That's so bad. Damn, that could have been like serious. You know, that could have just completely changed your trajectory depending on. It's like, oh, you're failing this class because I didn't know that you were. I mistook you for a whole other student. That's so bad.
Yeah. That kid too. What was that? Yeah, that was in elementary. This is back when Pokemon was first coming out too. He was a little bit of a troublemaker, class clown. And one day, one of my other friends was like moving away, and he gave me I don't know how he got it or how anybody got it back then. He gave me a Mew, and was it original red and blue?
Oh, okay.
And then to like that same class clown one is like, oh, can you like trade over so I can get it from my Pokedex? Like, yeah, sure, trade it over. And then conveniently it was time to like leave and go away, and then never got it back. So it's one of those little sneaky things. I was like, to this day, it's like,
yeah. Yo, no, I feel that. I had the Pokemon Pikachu. It was like the Tamagotchi thing.
Oh, mm-hmm.
I loved it.
The one to the
yeah, you had to shake it to get like the.
I had one too.
Yeah, I had it. I took it to church. It must have been like 8 or 9, and I guess like it may have fell out or something. And then I remember seeing like this little white girl who was like playing with it or playing with, and I was just like, hey, that's mine. Let me have it back? She was like, no, it's not yours. And like to this day, I'm pretty sure that was mine.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, a similar situation like that. This was that same time around like middle school. Me and my dad we would take like walks around the neighborhood on occasion. And there was next like one of the dumps, somebody was like throwing out there's a bike like next to it. So I was like, oh, somebody's throwing it out. And my dad's like a fixer-upper type. So he's like, oh, cool. We grabbed it, just needed like a new chain and that was it. So he swapped that out and voila, got a bike. So I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm riding around with them and going whatever. And then the kid or like I think it was the kid or the family, like, I was like, hey, that was our bike or whatever. And it's kind of like, I'm thinking like, was like, well, we fixed it up. It was next to the dumpster or whatever.
Right,
yeah. My dad was just kind of like, no, we'll just give it back. It's whatever type of thing. I still remember being like a little bitter about that.
Yeah.
It's probably like the right-ish thing to do, but.
I don't know. Like, were they white?
No, it was a black family.
Oh, okay. So I was like, it was white then, yeah. Like, unfortunately, I was like, that black kid stole my bike. You know?
That's a whole other.
Right. But damn, that sucks though, because like it was by the trash. Yeah, I guess y'all did the right thing. Yeah, but now I understand. I'd be bummed too. What was like your first interaction with the opposite sex in regards to attraction?
Gosh, I think it was pretty young, honestly. I always had like little crushes and silly little things, but never, on occasion I would act upon, but never with any success, especially in the early years. So yeah, I remember telling this one girl, like must have been, we were still over living up north, so it must have been in elementary, like early elementary. I remember like getting up the courage to tell this one girl that I liked her, and then like running off just because.
Oh, that's too cute.
It's so cringe.
That's too cute.
And yeah, I always had like some little crush on whoever in like a class or something back then. So yeah, from then on, just always somebody catching my eye. But...
Did they ever like come back or talk to you about it?
Were we in the same class or no? I think we were in different classes. But no, never amounted to anything. I didn't have my first girlfriend until high school.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was one of those like, no, I don't feel that way, and I was like, okay, like I've been that big sad because just get first love or whatever. Not even. Still had much to learn, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, it was back in those days of all the little school dances and stuff. I think I was like one of those like, I was like always waiting for those times because you get to dance with people or dance with your crush or hopefully and all that, and everyone like kind of waiting in the corner and trying to like push their friends to like go ask them to dance type of thing. So and those are fun little times. But just looking back, it's like, oh, it's fun.
I think the only school dance I ever went to was like for prom. I don't think I ever went to another school dance. I think I knew of them, but I just didn't really care to go. I don't know if it's because I just never told like my parents or because it costs money. And if it's something that costs money, then that's just like a no. So. Yeah,
I only remember them from when I was like younger, like in elementary, middle school on. There may have been like one in 7th or 8th grade, but that was about it. Yeah, everything else was pretty spread out. Then high school was just like prom, and that's all.
Yeah. No, there was something else like homecoming. There was like a homecoming day.
Yeah. Did I go to homecoming?
Yeah, I don't think I ever went to homecoming. I think I only went to prom. Oh well. I don't think I really missed out on like a middle school dance, but maybe.
You weren't missing much, for all things considered.
Is there any like stereotypically masculine things that you did as a kid, or like any like cringy masculine?
Let's see, as a kid, that's a tough one to narrow down.
Or just younger?
Just younger.
Yeah.
Trying to like be, I may have done like ever so slightly, but it probably didn't really get far just because of my own like personality, again being like the more reserved, shy kid. Needing to be like macho or whatever, like the tough guy type of mentality. So that's the closest I can think of.
Like you were like macho?
No, just try to like act that way.
What did you do?
Gosh.
I can't imagine this with you.
Exactly. I'm having trouble imagining it too. It may have been during like, if it was like kid age, then it might have been like during like, playing outside during recess, trying to like act like tough or whatever. Then I could see that, but that kind of goes with that time, and it could be easily brushed off. It's like, kids just playing around.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other like big impacts or influences back then.
Like in your teens or your 20s?
Let's see. Teens, 20s, that would have been a little more like, the biggest thing probably would have been like, not swallowing up feelings, because guys aren't supposed to really like have any big like emotions or feel any feels, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So that probably been the most like cringe thing, just kind of burying stuff down. And that probably came from just like emulating other relationships I saw growing up. That, or probably like that, between like that and like popular media, that's always the thing of like, only the ones that are emotional are the women, and guys are supposed to be like tough and stoic and all that. So it's like, all right, well, that's the thing to do for a while, and luckily that faded out over time. And I think another impact, probably I had a mixed bag with that, because with where I grew up, and again, my dad was in the military, so he was gone for like periods of time on tours and all that. So it was mainly mom around. So I think I had like maybe having that feminine upbringing majority of the time, plus that maybe that kind of threw the balance off, and like not having me too heavily in the masculine area. So that's my one guess towards that.
Because I know you have an older brother.
Yeah, we're 10 years apart. So.
Oh, damn. Okay. Oh, yeah, like I have a sister that's, well, my oldest sister, she's 17 years older than me.
Okay, that's big.
Yeah, but next sister, she is 9. Like right now, she is 10 years older because she just had a birthday.
That little gap.
Yeah, but normally it's like 9. So yeah, I get it. But it's funny because like when you get older, it just kind of evens out. It's like, yeah, that's true. She's like 9, 10 years older than me, but it's not. Even my sister who's 17 years older than me, it's like, it's not even, it's not even anything. Did you have any cringy beliefs when you were younger, and like what made you let it go? And by younger, I just mean younger than you right now.
Yesterday or like a couple seconds ago. Sure.
Yeah, just now.
Let's see. Let's say the cringiest. I think I was very briefly concerned. What's that whole, so it'd been like a little after high school, the whole like alpha wolf thing that got disproved. Yeah,
was that really just? I felt like that was more recent though. Was it back then too? Then it had a resurgence.
I think it had like the original bit popped up back then. I forget the name of because it's been studied like way back.
Yeah, true.
But like I think like the first big blip of, especially like internet and everything, things being able to be shared that way. David something. But yeah, doing this whole study, and then like, oh, here's like the alpha, and then like he's one that gets the majority of the food and bosses the others around, and is like leader of the pack. So I remember like that briefly, and like trying to, this is probably like, again, like late teens, early 20s, of trying to like, fit in those certain ways, and thinking like, oh, if I'm gonna get in with these groups or be seen more, then I need to be a little more strong and present and leading, and again, but this doesn't quite match up with my personality, so it was just something that didn't really like stick. So
yeah,
and during that time, it was kind of like, it was tougher because I went from my high school up in West Palm, and then I went to college down in Miami.
Right.
So didn't have that like core group of friends like to kind of fall back on. So it was like, all right, brand new stuff, and then the commute from living in Fort Lauderdale and driving down that way. So it was very.
Ooh, damn. Yeah. That's a hike.
Yeah, it was a hike, but I'm kind of conditioned for it now, so it just feels kind of like, oh, what's that, an hour drive? Yeah, sure, whatever, just go. And yeah, that was probably one of the biggest ones, and then just learning like later on, it's like, hey, it doesn't really fit and doesn't quite. That's not my way to like interact with people. And then learning later on, it's like, hey guys, and I think he tried to wheel it back and try to like put out there like, hey, I got that wrong, but
Yeah.
it took
Yeah.
already. So everyone's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, everyone's about this alpha mind state and all that. It's like,
And it was about wolves.
yeah, so wolves. It's about wolves. It's about like something in the animal kingdom, and it's inaccurate. So it's I think what was the actual thing for it? I think they misidentified like the ones that were bossing around. I think it was like the more of like a matriarchy style thing of like that was them trying to like get the other like the kids in line so like the younger ones could get the food first, and then try to like discipline and get them into like, hey, this is how the family structure works. So it's like two parents trying to like keep things together versus nope, it's you have to be a manly man and like run the household and no betas, and it's like what is even. No, like it just didn't make any sense. So luckily, I snapped out of that one, especially back in the internet lurking days and all the forums and stuff.
Yeah. How did you snap out of it?
I think it was again. I think that during that early college time was not having as many like core friends. I did have like some small circles here and there again because I commuted a lot and all my other. That's one that was a bit of like a tough learning thing of. When you're going through like elementary all the way up to high school, you're seeing these kids like on the day-to-day basis. These are your friends.
Yeah.
But once you like get out of that and like seeing like, are people actually going to like meet you part way to like hang out and do stuff, or are those connections going to last? And finding out like later that a lot of people didn't. So it's kind of like, oh, hard lesson to learn there.
Yeah.
So I think between that and I would say how many other like masculine figures I had in my life at the time. So I had like one close friend that was a guy, a couple other guys I would chat with here and there. My brother, my dad. So I think maybe I also had like a limited pool of like different types of like masculine energy in my life. So luckily none of them were that overbearing type. If I was in those more core groups or groups that had that like overbearingness, maybe it would have had more of an impact. But luckily it didn't. So yeah. So my other like my closest friends I had around those times were mostly women, so I think that was another big impact to seeing like, oh, they probably wouldn't like that, or just talking to them in general, like, yeah, I don't like that. It's like, oh, makes sense, and just getting in that other perspective.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like it's like it is good to have those people in your life that sort of debunk your own beliefs. It's very easy to just kind of fall into that internet world. And especially with like cell phones and things like that. Granted, like back then, like we had smartphones, but like they weren't that smart.
Yeah, no, it wasn't quite. You'd have to be like on your computer, on looking stuff up, or on one of those like forums between. Was Reddit really going back then? Like 2008, 2009?
It existed, but it wasn't like popping. It wasn't
popping there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of lucky I did avoid all that because I was for a while I was on 4chan. But I was only on like the gaming areas and like the comedy stuff and all that. I didn't go to those areas. So that was
the January 6th area.
Yeah, no, the bullet dodge there. It was that red pill, blue pill stuff and all that. It's like no, luckily didn't get into that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I never really ventured into 4chan.
You weren't missing anything.
Yeah, I think partly it was just because of the like the UI, the user interface, and just like it seemed very bad. The color scheme and like I'm an email and web developer and design.
Yeah, so I could see that just being like so harsh. Just like opening up, just like, oh god, what is this?
Right? Yeah, I was like, what? And I think it still is. It's still from screenshots that I've seen. I haven't seen any recently.
Yeah, I've been on there in like decade plus, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's still maybe they've updated some things on it to make it to keep up with the times. And I know like with like Flash kind of being on the way, or is it out the door now?
I think so.
Okay,
I think so.
Yeah, so they had like you'll be able to post like little Flash videos and all that too, so I'm pretty sure they've had to
okay I see how that could have definitely been like an appeal for sure with the Flash videos, especially around that time.
Yeah, something like that was all about getting their video game stuff, memes. That was like the other main point. Just like, great, cool, funny stuff to look at and go from there.
Yeah, okay. Because I just couldn't understand. But granted, I only knew of 4chan through screenshots that were shared on Reddit.
Yeah.
And other socials type of thing. So I didn't. But yeah, from what it looked like, I'm like, I don't understand how anyone can even use this. This looks so bad.
It was just this very poorly set up public forum where there's not even like a nice little like, all right, cool, like can post the thing and then like come back to this. No, it just gets, if it gets pushed down to the bottom and it just fades out into the void and that's it. There's no, and because it's all like anonymous things, then it's people just come in and post them whatever they want, which is a bit of a problem. Especially I wouldn't even want to see what type of stuff is going on there now. But yeah.
You know, I was on Craigslist recently, very recently, and I was looking at, I forgot what section it is, but it was just like, I guess like a forum, and it was like a politics forum. I was just, I just clicked on it just to see like, who is still doing this in 2025? And there was people who are still communicating on Craigslist for like, I guess in a forum. I can understand selling things and buying big and like, I thought that was the only thing, but there's other things on Craigslist.
Yeah, they had like that's the little forum thing for like discussions, whatever. People like post things for like trying to like meet up or misconnections or things like that.
I remember misconnections. I missed that. In college, there was like this one post, this guy who kept posting about this girl at this sushi restaurant that I used to frequent. It was called Mr. Robato's. I don't know who the girl was. I'm sure I've seen her because I would go to the sushi restaurant like every week, and it was down the street from me.
There you go.
So I probably had seen her, but it was just like this guy kept posting about this girl, and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's like one time post I can see. Two, you're pushing, like after that it gets a little creepy. I'm like, hey, you missed out. It's okay. Maybe you'll see her again, but it's kind of getting like bordering on stalky.
Yeah, you know, like at that point, you talk to her.
Yeah.
Just talk to her.
Was he, wait, what did he like keep trying to, did he keep seeing her and like was trying to get a connection that way, or was he trying to find her info or something?
I don't think he was trying to find her info. I think he was trying to reach out to her through misconnections.
Oh.
And in hopes that she would see that. From the post that I remember seeing, he didn't seem like he was trying to find her information.
Oh, okay. So I thought that was the whole point of it, was like at this concert and we danced briefly, but I had to leave because my friends, whatever, just looking for this person with purple hair or something. And like that's more what I've always kind of felt it as. More.
Oh, maybe. I could see that, but yeah, I don't know. I wonder if people like met through. I think people have met through misconnections, but I wonder if like how successful.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people. Some success stories and some probably not so success stories because internet. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. So this is a pretty big question. What was the defining low moment in your life, and how did you overcome it?
I would say definitely that's one I mentioned before with after high school. So I had a chance for two routes essentially. I could either stay local with my parents, and I had like a little voucher for like $1,000 off like a scholarship thing, or I could move down south and stay with my brother, rent an apartment that way, and then go to school down in North Miami for Johnson Wales. That's where I did my culinary degree. So I wanted to, at the time I was feeling a little helicoptered, so I was like, I want to get out of the house and like do things a bit different.
Yeah.
So jumped on that chance as soon as I could, and yeah, again during that time, I was always one of those friends that like I would kind of go out of my way. So between leaving from high school and still keeping in touch, trying to keep in touch with friends that I had from then, like because again we're around them on the daily, and you're expecting like, all right, cool, we'll hang out and we get the things in. So after that, and like reaching out to those friends and trying to like, hey, schedule things in, I would be the one to drive up to go hang out from Fort Lauderdale to Palm Beach, which again, I was already starting to get conditioned for that trek and the commute. Still,
but you were always doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just like a solid hour.
Yeah. So I would get used to being the one to go up. And then like over time, I would try to like organize something on my own. Like, hey, if you guys want, like, I didn't have like anything like fully set up, like a party or anything like that. But I remember reaching out to one of like the core people who would help like organize people. And reached out to her and like, hey, by the way, like, this weekend, if you guys are free, if you want to come down, we can try to, throw something together. And I remember the response was something along, like, oh, let us know when you're like having like a party, and then we'll like, see about it or circle around. So it felt very like oh, was
Wow.
that?
Just not even just a hang,
Yeah, not
you
even just
know?
a hang. It just felt very like a bit of a slap to the face of like,
Oh,
okay,
for
I guess it
sure.
wasn't really like a as strong of a friendship that I thought. So there was like a long, I would say from then, I had a couple of people that I was able to hang out with here and there and people that would come down. But I guess that was like a big learning thing of what type of connections to have in my life. And that was like a long period, like early college, of just being pretty lonely. 'Cause again, besides internet definitely kept me like afloat, just me on to like game online and keep in touch with a couple of different friends that way. But not having those solid connections
Yeah,
that
that
I
you knew
thought.
for several years at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a learning curve of like, all right, well, having to, what type of connections do I want? What type of people do I want in my circle, and what type of things I need to build back up on? Because, yeah, at the time, you just kind of rip from your own little like bubble community, and then you're just going out on your own, essentially. Even
Right.
though it was close enough, that's the other reason I liked it too, is because I was like close enough to home without being like parents like right down the street, but I was like close enough if I need like support or to go to see them or holidays and things like that versus like having to fly across the country. But I'm sure if I did have that opportunity, it may have worked out in a different way, but you know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a tough one, just having that lonely period and just trying to reestablish and figure out what type of friends and connections. And luckily I was able to build that back up and, you know, meet people between going to like different like social events and kind of being reestablished that way.
You also went to FIU, right? So did you go to Johnson and Wales and FIU?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. At Johnson and Wales, I'm assuming, like, was it a big school? I don't think so, right?
Not really. It's not like a huge school. They have multiple campuses across the U.S. I think there's a campus in Rhode Island. There's one in Colorado, and then they have the one down here. And I think there's like one other one someplace. But yeah, so it's not like it doesn't. That's the other thing that I think impacted me a lot around then too was I didn't have like that start off with that classic campus college life.
Right. I was gonna say, like, where there's usually like extracurricular activities and groups and fraternities and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and they did have like little things here and there, but again, as a commuter, I didn't really have that opportunity.
That's true. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for those courses that you're taking, especially the culinary ones, those are longer classes. It's not just like your standard like hour or two things, and that's unless there is like a lecture style one like that. But any like the actual cooking or baking classes, those can be long ones because you need that time to prep and do all the things. So it was like go down, be in there for a couple hours, and then head back home. And
Right.
was I working part time at the time? Like a little ways into it, then I started working part time. So like a restaurant down the street. So it was kind of hard to stick around campus and do the things. And I didn't live on campus because it was a private college too, so
Right.
that would have been extra pricey. So yeah, I would like hang around campus for like occasional little things, but there wasn't really much going on. You had to like be down living in that area to really like, get up and do stuff.
Okay.
The most I did they have any clubs or anything? I think I had made like maybe like one or a couple of friends. Like there was a couple of familiar faces because you're rotating
Yeah.
around those same classes.
Right. Yeah.
The most I did with them, there was actually a paintball team.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I joined onto that very briefly. I don't remember. I just remember seeing the flyer once and like just signing up.
Yeah.
How did I even start playing before? It wasn't through that. I think I may have gone to there's the one down in Hollywood, one of the paintball places down there. You just pay and they give you the rental equipment and you just go nuts essentially.
Okay.
So I remember doing that for a while. I think I may have asked for one for my birthday or had some money set aside to grab my own. And then I joined on with that. They had like, we didn't get up to any official like competitions, but I went out to like several of their practices. But as a college student who didn't have much cash, the extra commute to go to the practices, B, the cost of like you have to pay like the field cost, like to go into the space and do all that. It's maybe like $10-15 or something, and then for ammo because to buy a big old box of stuff and hopefully it doesn't melt or whatever. So
It melts.
if you leave it in the wrong conditions, then it can melt down.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I've never done paintball. I always wanted to because it does look cool, but also looks painful.
It can sting a little bit depending on where you get hit,
Yeah.
but again, you're going in with like long sleeve stuff, and as long as no one's like super close to you, and if anyone's like super close, so like if someone's like this close to you,
Like point blank.
point blank, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to like give them like a tap or like, hey, like I got you, like just to mirror them, like all right, hands up type of thing. Because
Yeah.
if you're shooting that close, somebody's walking away with a bruise.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
And yes, it was fun doing that for a short bit, but again, yeah, I didn't have the time, schedule, funds to keep up on. It wasn't the
Right.
best type of long-term hobby to jump into at the time.
Yeah. So how did you make new friends being a commuter student at a private university?
So at the time, I definitely relied on the internet a lot.
Okay.
So that was for dating and making new friends. Like I think was OkCupid popping back then. It was
Oh yeah, for
it was
sure.
starting. Yeah, I remember
I think it was
starting.
probably yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
was solid at
yeah,
that
it was
time.
around like that 2008, 9 ish
Yeah.
range, give or take.
Yeah, it was still solid.
So yeah, I would jump on like I think I actually met one friend off of Craigslist actually that I still know to this day. Because I remember just like going on those forums or posting my profile on OkCupid and just being like instead of like just for dating, like yes for dating because young 20 something
Right.
obviously gonna be up into that, but also like just having on my profile like hey also like looking for friends type of thing and
Yeah.
like match with different people, and if it didn't amount to anything, hopefully I can make a new friend out of it. And there's a couple of people. Actually, I should think of like two people that I met on there. It didn't go to one person. There was like a little bit of like a flirting thing, and it almost went that direction, but not quite because it was a distance thing. I think she lives in. I think she lived up in Alabama, so
Oh,
like right up
okay.
that way. So I guess she had her range like on the bigger side of it, and like sent me a thing. And I remember her username, like, cause back when you could have like the funky usernames and all that,
yeah.
hers had something with like DBZ in it. So I was like, oh, cool, like a nerdy person like reaching out.
Yeah.
And we started chatting that way. And like one other friend that I still know to this day, like, still keep in touch and get little hangouts in every once in a blue. So that was my main thing, was just internet. Occasionally, eventually I went out to like the like meetup groups and things like that too with so I would hang out with my brother on occasion, and I joined on to some of the kickball leagues.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had like the adult kickball leagues where
Yeah.
you just like go out, play a game, go to the bar afterward, and I had a couple connections through that. There was a little bit of a mismatch in like personalities and all that, but it was still like fun to go out and be
Right.
physical and then have like an excuse to like go and hang out with a bunch of people.
Right, yeah, because usually after kickball, you go for like drinks after, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I knew a lot of people who did the adult kickball leagues, and they always they always enjoyed it,
Yeah, it was,
especially the drinking part.
yeah. I think that's a good chunk of it. You had that little divide between the people who like went to like play them like super serious, and there's like all right, there's that team that's always gonna like try to do those like extreme plays and trying to like win the championship, and then you had like the other opposite end spectrum. There's the team that just comes in drunk all the time. They're like bringing the hunch punch to the field and just sipping something, and they're gonna be the party ones, and then you have like the serious ones that are winning the championship, whatever. So fun times. But yeah, those are some of the different ways I like made connections with mainly internet, just because and I enjoyed it because I could feel people out a little more that way too.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's versus like I never really did the full on let's go to the bar, try to pick up chicks or whatever, or like go to like a social thing and like just hey, let's just go to this social event and go from there.
Right,
I
yeah.
need like to feel people out, like do the interest match up or something like that. Are they nerdy or something along those lines where we're gonna have like a decent connect to bounce off of? Like the
Right.
kickball one, cool. That's people getting together to play something, and then you can connect that way. But you at least have this activity and like something to fall back on. And then for like the profile dating stuff, you can put the things and read. There's like, oh, is there anything on this that catches my interest, or it's something that matches up, and go from there. Versus like going on a blind date or just again going to the bar and just chatting with somebody, and then you find like there's a connection there, probably because there's a bit of booze going in the atmosphere and everything. And then you find like, oh, we have like nothing in common, or there's nothing else to really like pick up off of. So
Okay. True. Yeah. Like I noticed that I haven't been hearing about kickball leagues like I did back in, the 20 teens, the 2010s. I feel like, I guess it's become run clubs. I've been hearing about the run clubs a lot.
that's interesting.
Yeah. They kind of popped up, I think, right after the pandemic.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah. So I guess that's Gen Z's kickball league. But yeah, I remember like everybody was like, I would just keep hearing about people doing a kickball league, doing a kickball league. I'm like, how did you even find out about this?
My brother was doing it, and then I remember like going along to some of his games, and then just kind of joined eventually onto one of his teams, and then kind of started doing it on my own a little bit from there. So it was a nice little like time to get in quality time with him, and then just keep going from there. When he moved up north, so I was like, all right, cool, I can still keep it going, and I know some of the team leaders and all that, so I can jump in and have like a team that I'm with. So
Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, no, that's just such a great way of meeting people. You know, like I feel like I was in a way sort of similar when it came to meeting people online, and some also very unorthodox ways meeting people even on dating apps who I'm, you know, still friends with to this day. And whether that wasn't really the intention, but it just kind of became that, which is still good. It's still a positive. And also joining things like I joined improv and stand up, and I got to meet a lot of people that way. And it's just, you know, when you do things that interest you, or you know, especially if it keeps you physical, because improv was, you know, you're standing up, you're moving about. It's not an exercise, but it's
exercise of the mind, maybe.
Exercise is something. But and it's something that's, when you're going there, you're not really looking forward to it, but when you leave, you're so glad you went, type of thing. Yeah. So, yeah, I highly recommend just doing something, just something.
Yeah.
If you could do something that you like, that's great. If you could do something that's just at least physical, that's also good. Because
moving your body, keeping yourself stimulated in some fashion is important, because I've had those like periods of just being locked in the house and not really getting out and doing much, and it can definitely have an impact on you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's not good.
And finding that balance of, and I think you're probably in that similar fashion, like being more on the introverted side. So like knowing that, yes, this is my like safe little bubble, my way to recharge, but also means like you need to expose yourself out and get out there a little bit. Keep that balance.
According to everybody, I'm apparently an extrovert.
I can see, just because of your personality, like you're funny and you're like you have like lots of friends and you just kind of bring that type of energy.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have like that kind of like homebody like type of thing too, maybe.
Yeah. Like I feel like if I'm like on the I over the fence on extrovert, but like my back is still on the fence. You know, like I'm an extrovert, but I'm not as extroverted as you know, a lot of people that I know, and like, you know, even like in my family, like my oldest brother, I feel like he's very extroverted. But I like being at home, but I kind of measure extroversion and introversion as like, how long can you stay in your house? Like if you're like, I feel like an introvert can stay at home like at least like 3 weekends in a month and be fine. I couldn't do that. Like I would need to do something. If I've had like busy weeks, okay, I can understand like staying at home. But if I'm like, I gotta, even if it's just to go down the street to get a sandwich, just to leave the house.
Yeah, just
like
get out a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, was that my? Gosh, I guess that definitely shows my introvert colors. It's COVID when it was time to start quarantining. I think I had like a nice long stretch of just being like, all right, this is fine. We can sit in. It was probably like a couple months of just like, unless I was going out for like the bare basics and like going out for like work stuff, because we were able to like do some work things. We were able to like keep some distancing, but I didn't like hang out or see like anybody besides like virtually for a long stretch.
Yeah.
But I remember that was like definitely showed how much I needed that, like to get out a little bit and get some type of interaction of some kind. It's my partner. I managed to see my partner like finally like things were like getting a little more cleared with like the testing and all that. It was still it was a hot mess, but
it
was something. And finally like, all right, cool. I had my test results, they had their test results, and we were finally able to like see each other, and like just having that first hug, I was in tears.
Oh yeah. Because you live alone. Yeah. At the time, my mom was living with me.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So it was, looking back on it, I'm very appreciative of just having, some, especially family. Especially my mom. And it was, like, if I was just totally by myself, it would have been so difficult because I was single and dating apps were and still are, I assume, shit. And it's like, yeah, I would have been so sad. I feel like I probably would have had, friends come over on occasion or, try to like do something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I would have been because I was working from home, everybody was. Yeah, I don't know how I would have been. Yeah, I really don't. I don't know when I would have cracked. Because I would have cracked. I mean, I was already cracked since my mom was living with me for a year prior to that.
Yeah.
So I was already like out of my mind. But like, if she hadn't had moved in with me, how would I
It would have been a different type of cracked.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. And that's it's. I probably would have broke down crying too if I like finally hugged somebody. Yeah. But no, I couldn't have gone months. I know that like I would have started feeling it. I would have started feeling it like a month. Like I would have been like, yo, what was wrong with me? Like what am I doing? It's like I need to go somewhere. I'd probably just be I don't even know what I'd be doing. Damn, I really gotta sit down and think about that. Can you think of a relationship that really defined you? It could be an ex, a mentor, a coworker, a boss, something, a friend.
Let's see. I'd say toss up between an ex. I would say like one of my like longer term relationships, and it's one of those like kind of like had to learn the hard way, and having to deal with this past trauma and all that. I've learned like a little more about yourself and how I wanted to be in my relationships and connections, and like learn the hard way of how to like set boundaries and keep things like that going. And like and that's its own like positive things. There were good times and then not so good times.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then like another, I would say, I've always like as I got older, because I would say my brother, because when I was younger, of course there was like that little butting heads period, like when he still like was living with us before he went off to college and all that, of like just being like the annoying little brother, and just like why does he get to stay up late, and why does he get to go out and have fun and all that, and just being kind of annoyed with that. But then like later on, like I would go down to like visit him, or because when we moved down to Florida, he was going to, where was it? He was going to Nova.
Okay.
So occasionally I would take like the tri-rail down and visit and hang out with him for the weekend. So it was cool just like getting to hang out and like kind of see like, he was living life, and this kind of like gave me like that positive influence of like, hey, this I can see myself wanting to do like live on my own, nice little social circles, get out and like see the world. He got to travel and do things, so it was always like kind of gave me that extra inspiration. And then just how he like went about things and like treating others, little influences like that, like besides my parents, like that I got from him, like being a good host. Like if I was like crashing over, he'd let me use his bed, he would use the couch, that type of thing. So I would do that for others growing up, if I had anybody coming over. Just keeping things up for others and supporting people and things like that.
Okay. That's awesome. Are you familiar with Gurren Lagann? So Kamina?
That's which one's that?
He was like Simon's, like he was like the big bro.
Yeah.
Would you consider like your brother as like your Kamina, like someone that like it like put so much like inspiration into you as to like, and had you like kind of just shoot up to be who you wanted to be? He had like so much just faith in you, or was there anybody like that?
I would say like on the lighter side, I can't think of like that much of a
yeah, like to shoot up to the heavens, like drill the heavens,
pierce the heavens. I don't know about that much. We'll fight the power. Oh gosh, I had to look that one. I haven't heard that one in ages. But yeah, I'd say that's probably like the closest. Definitely had that boost in like between that and my parents, and like past, even that same partner that things didn't end up working out with, definitely helped me give that like boost of like getting to pursue and step outside of like the comfort zones, like even just like pursuing like the job I have now. So I was always kind of like, all right, stick to the things that I've been in. Like my first job was working in in the dining room at this retirement home. So it's like, very cool. I'm thinking like I'm just gonna stick to like food service things, and I always kind of like jump between those types of jobs growing up, and I always had that past experience, so it was easy to get into those, and like I knew that, and it was easy to keep up with. So when like the chance came up I was looking for other work because I was just stressed and tired of what I was doing at the time, and there's like better spots that I worked at, and then the one I was at later was just like people, the hours, everything was just like not matching up. And then like she would help me like look around for jobs and all that. She found the one that I'm at now. She's like, oh, yeah, you should like apply for it. I was like, but I'm like, of course, getting in that self doubt. I'm like, what's it so outside of my like comfort zone? And like, it's not really like, I'd never really done anything like that before. It's like, just give it a shot. And like,
Yeah, right.
she helped like push me along and like help me fill out like the application and the cover letter and all that. And lo and behold, I got hired for it. So it was one of those like necessary pushes and that support that I needed at that time to get outside the comfort zone and pursue that. So.
Okay, that's cool. And like I could tell that you love your current job. Yeah. Like, do you feel like you would want to leave your job, or you like?
I like it. Like for me, one of my little classic signs of if I need to leave a job is if I catch myself like starting to like look for other things, that might mean that I'm either too stressed or I'm not liking the environment.
Okay.
Or sometimes it might be just like payments. I need more such these days. Things are kind of, the prices are going up on things, so who knows? Maybe that might rise things up. But if I don't catch myself like looking for other opportunities, then I know I'm like stable and I'm good.
Okay.
But like the only thing would be if I'm gonna be like moving elsewhere, or if I'm like feeling that itch to like pursue something else, like just like I guess what would you say? Like other opportunities or other passions that might pop up, that grab me. That's the only other thing I could see that would like make me go and pursue something else. But right now I'm like, it's comfortable. There has been room for growth. Things do go steadily, and I do like, I appreciate and like what I do, because it's nonprofit, so we are out there helping the community, and so it's something that I can definitely get behind, and like, but it aligns with me and like what I like to do. So.
Okay, that's what's up. That's good. Yeah. So I wasn't sure if like, since this person is your ex and you're at the job that they like kind of push you to, it's like, so you still good?
Yeah, still good. And that's one of those, I can't like tie everything to every
right.
If you did, then it would just like clean slate every time you like make a connection. Like, no, this one fell out. All right, everything that has to do with them, just screw it all, throw it to the fire.
It's like, I gotta get rid of this computer, gotta get rid of this home, I gotta get rid of all these clothes. Like,
oh god, all the clothes, all the music that I knew that played around them. Like, nope, destroy it all. Oh man,
sure, that's a good point. Did you ever get cheated on? And have you ever cheated on someone?
Let's see. I've been on I guess it kind of like both ties in. There's somebody I was seeing for like a couple of years, and things were kind of on the way out. It was one of those relationships where it's like you want to get out, but didn't quite have like the gall to like push and initiate that talk and everything. So it's kind of going along, and then eventually things tapered off. But we're still, since things were still like pretty familiar, we would like hang out here and there. We'd still like mess around on occasion. But she started seeing somebody else. And I probably should have checked in more, but I don't know if it was like her. So I kind of like took part in something. It's like she was like kind of playing both sides of the field. So like, I kind of like knew, but it was like, is like everybody okay with it? But kind of still going on for my own selfish reasons, because young 20s, just wanted to get out there and have fun. So
yeah.
So it's kind of like those, like the most I could see, or is that type of thing. And all the other times, closest would have been if I was dating somebody and we're like on a break period, and like if both of us kind of started like going to see other people ish. But again, everyone's like understanding, like, hey, we're kind of temporarily separated, so we can do things. But that's the most that it's been.
Yeah. Have you ever had a hoe phase?
Hoe phase.
I want to see if Jamie has had a hoe phase.
In a kind of sort of way, like maybe maybe a little bit now, a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And then like the responsible ways, like just to make sure like keeping up on my current connections and like me able to explore and do other things. So.
Right, because you're polyamorous.
Yeah, so it's that whole thing of making sure I'm taking because that's that whole thing, that spread of making sure I'm keeping up on my current connections and make sure I'm taking care of the connection with myself. So that keeping that autonomy, because that's one thing I learned from back in like that last long-term relationship I was in before I went into poly was, make sure to set aside time for me and make sure that I'm able to recharge, especially as an introvert, and not letting my calendar get like completely full. Like looking at it, like make sure like, all right, is there an evening I'm going to have to myself, and like something split between dates and this, that, and the other. Because if I'm going back to back too much, that's where I burn out, and that's where I start getting not good sleep and start getting sick and this, that, and the other. So it affects you if you stretch yourself too thin. It's the
for sure
thing I learned the hard way.
Yeah. No, like, you've definitely helped me when it comes to like planning, like learn like how to use your calendar, because I always felt like I needed to use it. Well, first of all, I just never used it.
Long gone are the days when I was just able to like remember, like, oh yeah, like I have something next week on Thursday, and then like, it was locked in the memory, and that was it. But now it's just like, nope, that isn't possible. I will forget everything.
Yeah, same. Like I've kind of conditioned myself to, whenever I say, yeah, I'm going to remember that, I just put it in my calendar because I'm not going to remember it. No. But I've been putting in just a lot of things into my calendar because it also just helps me remember what I did. So sometimes, like after the gym, I would put in like, okay, I went to the gym, I did upper body. Just something simple, instead of like, especially Google Calendar, because they have reminders and tasks. I was like, no, just an event or whatever. Stick it on the calendar. This is what I did around this time. But I've also learned to just try to put in just time for yourself. Because that's super important, because you will get burnt out. And I've started to recognize moments when I get burnt out. So like, no, thank you, because you taught me like inadvertently. Because I see you got like 3, 4, 5, 6 girlfriends. You were like, are you still pole dancing?
I haven't done it in a minute. I think the last time I went with the partner just because like it was like we had like a free evening. I was like, oh cool. Like I was telling her about it, and like she wanted to try. I was like, all right, cool. Let's go to one of the beginner classes, which we still need to do one.
Yeah, that's true.
You had your shoulder injury, so we couldn't do it that time.
Right. Yeah.
And the other time we were gonna be able to, it was like tropical storming out and like flooding, so we couldn't do it then. So it's still it's been on the back of my mind like every other time I drive by it. So
I definitely do want to try. I was actually listening to a podcast I think yesterday, and like the host does pole dancing, and I was like, oh yeah, that's because it's such a good workout from what I hear.
Oh, you will feel it.
So definitely we gotta put that on the calendar to do pole dancing.
Hopefully, let's see. It's after this. It's got some other events coming up, but I'll have to look and see, because there's like one instructor that I really like. There's another like 1 or 2 that were pretty cool, but she was always on Thursday evenings, which evenings were gonna be the best anyway, just because I think the class started like 6:30 or something like that, which is like perfect timing for like getting off work and be able to dodge traffic. Because I was trying to keep up on it, but it's one of those, I kind of had to weigh out the other hobbies I had going at the time.
Right.
And then like the costs, the timing, everything. And like, I would have been able to do that and the other hobby with the Kyoto now. I would have been able to keep doing both, but it would have been go from practice to change out into the little short shorts and go off to pole. Like, but that'd been too much. It was like, I can do this, but I'm not going to.
Right. Yeah. Because then you'll get burnt out.
Yeah. It would have been super burnt out. Probably would have been like ripped as hell, but like, no.
It's like, even if you're doing like a bunch of things that you do enjoy, like that still requires energy. It still depletes you of your energy.
Yes. You even have those days when you like do something that you're like truly love and enjoy, like, but you just have those days when you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna skip out today just to take a night in, just because you're that tired from the work day or do something else. As long as it doesn't become like a regular trend, then you're all right.
Right. Yeah. Like just knowing how many things that because you also do archery. You're still continuing doing.
Yeah, that one I've been doing for I think I'm gonna be going on 2.5 years or so now. Yeah, come May around my birthday is when it's gonna when it's going to be another full rotation. So I think it's going to be 2.5 or 3 years. Yeah, so that's been like my main one, because this was when things were starting to shape up a little better after COVID. I was still going to I was going to the pole classes, still like wearing a mask and all that. And the other thing I tried for a little while was fencing.
Okay.
Because I did a couple classes when I was younger, because they had like those like the adult community classes, like they'll have at the high schools and the community centers.
Right. Yeah.
So I did like a couple different little sports through that. Took a couple golf lessons, did one with my mom.
Okay.
Took like a short tennis one, and then I saw the fencing, so I tried that out for a couple sessions. And I had fun with it. The coach was like this little old retired guy, just like super like with the cane and everything. He used to fence, and then he became like switch over to coach mode, and he was like, yeah, the super sweet little guy. So he did a couple things, so hopefully he's still knocking. If not, then RIP. But yeah, I had fun with that. So I was like, all right, cool, let me like peek around for it again, because the only ones I saw was either like the more like theatrical ones, like they have like the rent fairs.
Okay. Yeah.
Or there's one I found, but it's up towards Boca. So I tried that one for a little while, but it was more, you need to have like your own equipment, and then they seem more focused on like the younger kids, like getting them ready for like tournaments and competitions, which is like fine. It was like I felt kind of like off to the sides. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna steer away from this instead. And then started googling around for archery classes, and happened to find the Kyoto one, which was that perfect pairing, because I did martial arts growing up. So I was like, all right, cool. Archery, which I've done on my own pastime, and martial arts. Let's just put those two together, and I went from there.
Okay. Yeah. No, like, yeah. You see, he does it all. He does it all. Don't let his hair and tattoos and piercings fool you. I don't know what he could have been trying to fool you with.
Oh gosh.
What do you like to do to like decompress, to de-stress?
Let's see. Main thing is just because, again, I'm on that introverted side, so just having a night into myself is like probably the biggest thing. That, and like give me a night into myself, and if it's a weekend or a day off coming up next, if I have the chance to just like sleep in, no alarms.
Yeah.
That is the best. Like, no having to get up early, because you have to get up early every day for work and this, that, and the other. If I have like a weekend where I have practice or something to go out to with people early in the day, then it's like, another alarm. It's like, no, I am not a morning person. So if there's opportunity to sleep in, I will take it.
Damn, and you work for the schools too?
Yeah. So, and it's summertime's going to be even earlier. So it's going to be like get up at like 6 in the morning, calls coming in from first thing, people checking in on their orders and this, that, and the other. So not looking forward to that one, but I've gotten used to it at this point.
Jesus, painful.
And yeah, so like a night into myself. Sometimes I'll just, depending on like what my energy is like that day, I'll either like put on a show that I've been watching, whether it's a anime or something on Netflix, and then like another little thing, just like kind of treat myself a little bit. So either like order in some takeouts, have like a nice little like glass of wine or a beer with it, and just kind of just veg out that way. That's my little go-to ritual of like, all right, we're just gonna take the time for myself and relax and not have to worry about any other stuff. And there's occasionally people I can spend that with. Like if there's some people, like you have to put in like extra energy to like do the things with, and there's ones you can just also be in that like kind of vibe chill state with. So sometimes I can share that with people, like certain partners, or sometimes there's a friend where you can just like sit and kind of like body double together. Like, hey, I'm just gonna be over here reading a book, and I'm gonna be over here doing my thing, and then you can just kind of vibe that way, which is nice. So it has to be like one or the other, like someone that I can have like a completely chill time with, or just be by myself, so I can just kind of do my own thing.
Yeah. I'm still trying to get used to being able to do that with my boyfriend, just like, because I don't feel like we spend enough time together, because of, work and life and things like that. And so like when he is here, when we're spending time, like I want to spend, like the like optimal amount of, like
you want to use every little second, minute that you can, like doing something, because like, all right, we don't have like this much time. So
right. And it's not even necessarily like talking or engaging, but it's just like, okay, I might be on my computer doing something and he might be like on his phone, but it's like, I don't want to just do that.
Yeah.
Even though he would be totally fine doing that. Like I know that like he'd be fine if he was just watching TV and I was in here editing. Like he'd be 100% fine doing that. It's just, I am like, no, I kind of want to.
Yeah, you got to have that balance, that mix of like, hey, engaging each other's some type of stimuli. Again, like we were talking about with like doing the kickball stuff. Like, hey, we have like an activity, something we can do on the regular, kind of something to throw into the rotation, like
Yeah.
and just also, but like checking in and keeping on tabs with each other, because like if I have a out and about date coming up with a partner, and then like that week's just been like brutal, and there was like, hey, by the way, my spoons are like super low, I'm not really like feeling like up to the thing. It's like, okay, thank you for letting me know. We will default to like one of those in stay at home chill nights and just put some stuff on the background and we'll be good from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just having that balance of like, yeah, out and about, going to dinner, doing little activities together, maybe like a shared hobby or something like that, and but also having that little being able to relax together and having that little balance. That's what I found.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like it's hard, and the energy, the spoons, like, for sure.
Yeah.
'Cause he definitely, like, because he's an introvert, like very.
I feel.
Yeah. Fam. So he's, and I guess my supposed introversion from, because I have a ton of introverted friends. They all think I'm an extrovert. Like they think like, because I want to talk and engage and just something. And, he also just wants to just decompress. And I was like, yeah, I get that. That's true. He had a long day as well. Like, so it's like, okay. So it's like understanding each other's energy levels is still is a thing.
That are like, the only thing is like, because I know like the weekday especially is hard because coming straight off of work to do something, like I'll set aside like particular days of like, all right, I'm gonna try to keep it like hopefully like the state of mind. I don't have a bunch of meetings to try to like go and like do something after work. But between that, like, or setting aside that very purposeful, mindful time of like, hey, we are gonna like do a thing on this free day that we both have, whether it's like the weekend or towards the tail end of the week, or maybe the Wednesday is like we both like don't have any meetings that day and it's like a lighter time of the season for both of us. We're gonna like get out and do a thing, so put something on the schedule where it matches everyone, because not everybody's gonna be in full sync all the time is the unfortunate reality of life and being an adult.
Yeah, no, for sure. How did you get into polyamory?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I think it was actually probably through like a board game group when I first like saw other people like kind of engaging in that.
Okay.
Because I think the person I was dating at the time, we were like looking for like other like activity things, and came across that for like, it was one of the meetup groups actually. So found that, went out to one of those.
Was it a polyamorous meetup group, or was it a meetup group and they just happened to be polyamorous people there?
I think it was meetup group that happened to have polyamorous people, and then they had like an offshoot of that that had like game nights and all that, and like seeing, oh, well, these like cool like nerdy people that are also like kind of like intermingling and like being like intimate with each other, and everything just feels like friendly and like good. So it was like this nice little collection pie chart of sorts going. I'm like, oh, this feels like it's checking off all the boxes. And over time, I was like, chatting with people more and hanging out with that circle. And over time, it felt like, all right, and it kind of made sense because the way I grew up and like the different attractions I had, like multiple attractions at once, I was like, this kind of makes sense, and it feels like kind of right. I feel like a pull in that area, so eventually started like to explore and dip toes into that area, and the rest is kind of history. Just kind of kept going to those groups, learning more about it. In turn, I was able to like because other circumstances, started going to like therapy. Learn a little bit more about myself, again trying to figure out like boundaries, setting aside time for myself. So there was a lot of like other good things that came from it.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And then just being able to have those different types of connections and explore different aspects of myself too, because
Yeah.
you can, and not to, of course it's not for everybody. It's not one of those pitches like, yes, everybody must try the thing. We have the little poly flag, but it's the same way like one person would have, you have your partner and then you have like a friend that you explore like a particular hobby with. But imagine that, but just with like multiple romantic relationships or something along those lines.
Right, true. Yeah, because if you experience attraction to multiple people, and like you have someone that you're with, and they like to go out, and you also like to go out, and then you have your person, your partner who likes to stay in and watch movies and or like play video games, and you have your partner that loves to travel. So it's like, yeah, like I get that, like I understand the like I understand like I was gonna say the appeals, like no there's like I understand. I understand like how polyamory can work.
Yeah, it's not one of those like night and day things. So there's like no jealousy that you experience. Where it's like if you hear that from people, like either they're a very particular brand or they're lying to you, because that stuff does come up and it's hard. But again, that's one of those things we were talking about earlier with like having to getting away from that mindset of like guys and that macho thing of like being stoic and like not really supposed to feel those like feels. Like no, you have to lean into it, and it's uncomfortable. It's still things that I'm working on in the background.
Right, yeah.
But it's like thinking, it's like, why am I feeling this way? Am I feeling insecure because of XYZ? And then like you dig in more, like a little self-introspection or during a therapy session, finding out like, oh, well, I feel this way because of during my upbringing, I was conditioned for XYZ, or this one relationship, I always felt defensive because I wasn't heard and seen and this, that, and the other. So it's all these little things to unlock as you go, and hard things to deal with, and have those big important talks, because it's not always easy initiating those things, and even to this day it's still tough to bring up at times. But again, it comes with surrounding myself with those people that I feel more comfortable with, and I know that I'll receive it well, or we'll be able to navigate through those things together, which goes for monogamous things too. Like, hey, can you sit down and have those big important talks, sit in the discomfort, and still be able to come back around and reconnect afterward, because
Yeah, absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
tough. But that's the only way to strengthen those connections and come out stronger on both ends.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Like you, my like polyamorous friends, my ENM, ethical non-monogamous friends as well, have definitely, like taught me a lot about relationships in terms of like, especially communication. Because it's cute when people say communication is key. It's like, well, like communication is fucking hard. Like it is very hard. And, it's like if you have an argument and then you guys cool down, it's, especially from like, my upbringing, from like what I've seen with adults in relationships, they never really spoke about it. They never really spoke about the blow up. And it's so pertinent, and also just kind of like magical in a way when you talk about it when you guys are both calm.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, let's just talk about it a couple of days later. It's like, hey, when we're arguing about this is how I felt. It's like, this is where I was coming from. And then, they also, share their feelings about it as well. And it's it just makes things a lot easier when you're able to just talk it out, just talk it through. It's uncomfortable as all hell.
Yes.
It's not easy because it's something that could be building up and you haven't talked about it in a long time. And then the person who receives it, it's like, to them, it's not even that big of a deal. And they're wondering why you took so long to even share this.
Was that easy? What? This whole time? Could I just put it out there?
I was like, oh, you just want me to like wear a belt? Sure. I can wear a belt. That's not a big deal. I wear belts all the time. It's my bad. I didn't notice these pants were so bad without a belt. Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the big things I learned as well from like that last longer term relationship. Like don't just like sit on things that, again, that was probably one of those things I like modeled from other relationships I saw growing up.
Yeah.
If you just sit with a thing and you don't express how you feel, then it's like comes out a couple of different ways. It's like taking like a bottle of soda. It's being shooken up, and you're either sitting on that, and it's either it's gonna like affect your health, because that type of stuff is real, like the stress.
Oh yeah,
the effect it'll have on your well-being, or it'll probably be like all the above. So that it'll come out eventually, but not in the nice calm way, because you're just like
Yeah.
you s-
It'll come out just differently,
differently.
in a different, and it's like, oh, you're like, I'm talking about B, but I'm really upset about A, and I didn't even realize I was upset about A.
Yeah. So you're just throwing everything into the mix, and like it takes that one day you stub your toe and then you just like lash out at the person, and it's like, where the heck is this coming from? It's like blah blah blah, and then it finally comes around to like, if it's this, it's not going to come out in that way because you're just letting all that out.
Yeah.
But eventually, if you take that time to like dig in and see like, oh, it was actually about the belt thing. That's what I was really upset about. So it's just a matter of setting aside that time. Don't hold on things because you'll build that resentment, and then that goes against that person. You're not working on the issue, you're working against each other. You're like holding it against them versus like, hey, let's tackle the problem. We're not attacking each other. Let's tackle what the issue is.
Right.
Which is the hard thing to come across, like, especially again, depends on how you're raised and the type of arguments you saw growing up and this, that, and the other, because especially like, Caribbean families and all that, things will blow up and then it'll just like, we'll just sweep it under the rug. We're good.
Pretend they're having.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We're just going to go about life now. It's like, are you sure?
Yeah.
But like, yes, it'll be fine for like another week or two, but then again, there's going to be something else that comes up where people are feeling heated, and it's because that one thing they didn't feel seen or weren't able to express what their true problem was with whatever thing came up. You left the thing out on the counter and the stuff went bad or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And I didn't know that wasn't normal,
because that's what we saw. It's like, oh, this is normal. This is what people do, right?
Right. They just like keep everything in.
That's definitely one of those all the masculine things that it followed me into like my late 20s. That was probably one of them. Was like, just keep things bottled up because I need to be there to support. I need to be like the calm person in the situation constantly.
You need to be like the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the rocks crack over time too.
Oh, yeah.
Things will wear away, erosion, so it'll happen.
Yeah, man, like that is so true. But yeah, like communication is hard. It is a very hard key. It's a very hard key. How would you define incel, and what are some incel adjacent things that people tend to overlook?
Incel. It's one of those, like, it's such a distant thing. I see stuff post about it every once in a blue. But I think it's just those. The way I would describe it is either individuals, I guess, because isn't there difference? There's incels and femcels or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so incel, I guess, for like the guy one. People that keep themselves isolated, have very, very narrowed views, especially towards women and I guess society as a whole, but mainly towards women.
Yeah.
And just like they're so locked into it and don't really socialize or take the time to get to know people or see them as like, well, like human is my.
Yeah.
I haven't really like dipped too much into. I see little stories on occasion. And it's like how do people even do that? But I guess the worst thing is again just holding those. It's basically holding like prejudice against women because they can see them as either objects or they've had a bad experience in the past. And it's like, all right, well, I was hurt this one way, then everyone's like that, so all women are bad. Which is like, yeah, you had that one experience, but you gotta open up and see that there's more than that. And like, sorry you were hurt, but and if we're acknowledging and gonna validate that, but you gotta explore and see that there's other people besides that. And like, you could apply that to any type of interaction, whether it's race, gender, ethnicity, etc.
No, true. How tall are you?
I think I'm like 5'9", 5'10", somewhere around there.
Did you ever have like trouble dating or meeting women?
Let's see. Not really. Like I didn't start like full on dating till into my 20s. So I had like very like brief girlfriends in high school. Nothing long standing because none of us knew what the heck we were doing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure so.
Yeah, never had like too much trouble, and especially once I kind of like started learning a little more of myself and like what type of people I wanted to pursue again, like make sure that things matched up as far as like interests and all that. And I was definitely awkward as hell during those early stages of trying to, and like the only other trouble was like sometimes things like go like way over my head, like thinking about it's like, why didn't you take that chance, you idiot? type of moments. So luckily I've learned like, no, I still have moments now that you need to like smack me over the head. Like, by the way, like I'm into you. And it's like, oh, okay. I thought you were just being nice. What's happening? So learning a little more with that, but yeah, not too much trouble. I've had like a handful of relationships, all in different shapes, forms. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, not like, yeah, dealt with different types of people too. They've had one person was taller than me, and everyone else is like either like same average or a little shorter. So, yeah.
Okay. So I know that, I mean, I don't know too much about incels actually. Just like from the brief things that I've heard, I know that they tend to be nerdy and just, yeah, like transactional, you know, when it comes to not even just women, but even like their friendships as well, from what I've heard. And, you know, like the blame things like looks and height and money and stuff like that. But just from talking to you and also just like previous guys, because there were guys before you.
How dare! I'm not the one and only. Like as soon as you come out the womb, I should be the only man. Like that type of mentality too. Like the whole, what do you call it? The body count thing and all that. It's like no. Like, do you expect anyone to like
not have a life?
Not have a life. To go and like, I'd rather go and experience and like learn about myself and like who I am and how to be with somebody, like emotionally, physically, all of that. Because yeah, some people are lucky, like they are like the high school sweethearts or people that don't have a lot of experience and they're like together long term and things work out amazingly. Sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But to expect that like whole like virgin savior complex of like, oh, you need to be like clean or you need to be like this pristine thing that I'm supposed to come in and rescue or keep that way. That's just like
I know. It is like, why you though? Oh man, like when I kind of came to that realization, because I lost my virginity, I was 23. I was kind of late. But I kind of just like came to that realization of like, it's like, well, why am I wasn't necessarily saving myself at that point, but like for a while I was. And once I got to actually like talk to and get to know, man, I've always had guy friends like all throughout my life, but I guess like when it came to like actual like dating and things like that, it was just kind of like, I'm saving myself for this.
I'll have like the male population. I'm sorry.
It's just like really funny. But then, you know, the more I grew up and the older I got, I'm just like, yeah, we're all just people trying to make the best out of everything. You know, we're all trying to figure things out. You know, the girl in high school that, you know, broke your heart was just also a girl in high school. She was high school age.
Yeah, she didn't know what the heck she was doing. You didn't know what you were doing. You had leagues ahead of you before you fully matured and all that. So it's an experience.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, teens and 20s, like when I've been like, you know, thinking back on them, I was like, yeah, it's a hard time for everybody.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
There's so much in life going on between finding out what the heck you're going to be doing for your life, for the rest of your life, exploring careers, going to school, working, maybe branching off on your own from your parents and all that. And yeah, just figuring out what you want with life and your connections and everything. So that's it's hard to get all that down packed from the get-go. Like,
yeah, like I'm still trying to figure it out. You know, here I'm doing a podcast at my 30s.
Never too late, you know.
Yeah. Do you think you could have like fallen into like inceldom, and what do you think stopped you from doing that? If you could have.
Let's see. The closest I would have had to falling into it would have been that like period, like early college, again being more isolated and like luckily I was able to like connect with people, and again I think the having more close to like women in my life as far as like friendships and again having like those long stretches of periods where my mom was the main household parent while my dad was away. I think that kind of helped bring it out too.
Mm-hmm.
Bring me out from that. Just seeing and like interacting with people women on the regular and having those closer friends and just seeing like, oh, these are people. I think it seems simple, but I think that's like the the main core thing. Like these are people. They're human.
Yeah.
They deserve that respect and just basic. It's not that hard to
Yeah, it's not that deep.
yeah. Not much to it. It's simple, but again, like depends on the upbringing, and again, we've all been hurt, heartbroken, gone through some type of things, but I think it just depends on what the other environments are like. So again, if I had fallen into maybe like that side of the internet, then maybe that would have been more of a influence on it. Like, what is that? Is it the red pill, blue pill thing or something? I don't know.
Red pill? I think it's red. Is it?
Is it?
I don't think it's blue.
I think it's a red pill.
I know there's like black pill. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, it's one of those. I've seen like little snippets of it on Reddit. I'm just like, let me like. I took a brief glimpse and was like, what is this? Let me just walk away the opposite direction because it makes no sense.
Yeah.
So again, all it takes is one corner of the internet or finding somebody who's in that. And again, it's the only thing I can see for it is community. So people feel like seen and heard in those circles. Like, yeah, you were hurt too, and you think, oh, this person's a bitch or whatever, and like, yeah, I felt the same way, and then you feel like piped up and you feel seen in there. So yes, for community, but if it's steering you in that direction of just like ostracizing yourself and putting someone else down, a whole gender down, then that's like, yeah, you might want to rethink that a little bit. So.
Yeah, like I can understand, and it's true. Like it definitely is like a community, and I understand that. It's like they also just don't feel like they have anywhere to go, and like this is also their first time experiencing this. Yeah. Whereas, like if they're currently experiencing something, that's like their whole life, right? Especially if they're like 17 or like even like 21, Yeah. And it's like I don't want to sound like we're just like mitigating this. It's more so just like there's just so much more of life to live, and like this isn't even like this is possibly the beginning, of hopefully going in like a better direction, not necessarily just hating a whole gender of people, because that's not
exactly
it's not sustainable. Or thinking some like a gender is just lesser than due to just whatever. But yeah, say that we have come to the end.
Top off on incels.
Well, is there anything that you one last question? Is there anything that you would like to tell like Jamie when he was isolated back when he started college?
Let's see.
Like if you could give him some advice.
Let's see. Biggest things would be, it might take time. You are going to find your tribe, your community, your people. It's right to explore like those hobbies, things that you have that might feel more on the more on the nerdy side, or might not be with the main normals of your average day-to-day person. Check into some therapy early just to get that head start on that. And yeah, there's going to be ups and downs, but again, it's going to help shape you to be the person that you are today, which is pretty decent, pretty cool, I would say.
Pretty amazing person, I would say. Like, I always think that you're just like the beacon of positive masculinity, of just you just do whatever you want to do, and you're just an amazing, incredibly kind, thoughtful human being.
All right. Push over here.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, on that note, is there anything you'd like to promote? I don't know.
I could think of at the moment. I don't really have any like major like social things or anything like that, but let's see. If anybody's in like South Florida and wants to check out like a keto thing, just type it into Google. You see South Florida keto.
How do you spell it?
KYUDO.
Okay.
We're growing. Things are getting like bigger. We have some demos and all that coming up. And besides that, support your local communities and all that. Find your own tribes and go from there. Love each other. All that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. All right. On that note, thank you so much, Jamie.
Thank you.
All right. Yay!